Oliver, House of Oliver, and we are coming at you live super fast, bringing you the information that you need to know, and you didn't even know that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with me, and take a moment, like, subscribe, share, spread the word, spread the love, send this to a neighbor, a friend, a cousin, an enemy, somebody you want to be educated, because if we know more, we can do better. But I'm sitting here today with a very infamous, influential, world-changing, I don't know, what other words did you tell me to say?
No, yeah, exactly. Check your
notes. We got the one and only Joe Patterson here. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. Best day of my life.
You can say that with like such deadpan.
Yeah.
I don't have that ability.
It's probably not true.
So, kind of big things. You are running for California State Assembly. Mm-hmm. You're doing great. This is how I know you're doing so good. I don't even know who's running against you.
That's great. Hey, let's keep it that way.
I know a lot of people who are running against people in races, but right now you're just smashing it. And super excited about it. How are you feeling about the race? What's going on?
Well, I feel really good about the race. I mean, you know, the primary, there were 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat. I will say it's a little different because it's a partisan race, you know, whereas being on the city council, where I was for 6 years on the Rocklin City Council, is not partisan and
not partisan at all.
Yeah. At least on the ballot, it's nonpartisan. But, you know, the second I sort of, you know, won the primary in June, all of a sudden it's you know, the blue wave, I guess, you know, it'll light me up on Twitter or email or whatever. And it's just, you know, it's a different world out there. Because I mean, the reality is, look, we might have different worldviews. I might disagree with you on stuff. I might disagree with a lot of people and vehemently disagree with people on things. But at the end of the day, to solve these problems we have in California, we're seriously going to have to work together on some issues. Now, I think the governor, for example, takes the wrong approach on a lot of stuff, you know. A lot of stuff. We go on all day long on that.
You do mention that.
Yeah,
huh?
Exactly. But you know, legislators are going to have to work together to solve those problems, you know? And there are only 19 Republicans in the legislature or in the assembly, and you need 41 votes to pass anything. So the reality is you got to work with some people, but you do have to be willing to call them out when, you know,
100%.
their stuff's crazy.
So what are big challenges that you think are facing us right now, state of California, you're kind of excited to tackle when you get in?
Well, I think the big thing, obviously, you know, quality of life issues. I mean, and that's a really long phrase, but, you know, you got homelessness. I mean, we're not addressing the key issues of homelessness at all.
Oh, we need more money.
What, $12 billion this last year, and homelessness increased, right?
Well, you know, prices of homes in California have gone up.
Oh, good Lord. You know, but look at just the cost of living. Yeah. Everything's expensive. The cost of running a business. I mean, your utility bills, whatever. I mean, everything is through the roof. My kids' childcare, I have 4 kids, their childcare costs have gone up 2 times this year, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, those are the kinds of things we have to address. You know, there's so many issues about the education. I mean, there's so many issues that go down there, but ultimately quality of life issues. You know?
But what can you accomplish? I mean, what can we get done when there is only 17 of you? Or did you say 17?
19.
I'm changing the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, possibility to get more in this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
to like 21?
I will say I'm 100% committed to helping get more Republicans elected. I mean, in the campaign, I contributed max out checks, $4,900 from my campaign account to 2 other Republicans, you know? So I think it's, you know, without electing more Republicans at the end of the day, you know, if you go down to Sacramento and talk with people who represent Democratic, you know, interests and things like that, even they say, hey, it's too unbalanced here. Yeah. You know, 61 Dems, 19 Republicans. And so what that means is when you're bringing a Democrat brings a bill into a committee, they pass it out of courtesy. They don't really vet the bill. They don't really, you know what I mean? And you get worse laws. I mean, we do need some more balance, more review, you know, things like that. But I do think there are things we can do on housing, for example. I mean, you know, it's kind of interesting. You know, all the, you know, San Francisco, Marin, Santa Monica, you can name a bunch of cities that get out of the housing requirements that we have to comply with here in Placer County or El Dorado County. And, we need more houses in the appropriate places. But why is it that, we do our fair share? Our area is growing like crazy, right?
Yep.
But they get exempted from it. It's ridiculous. So I think there are things we can do on that, because the reality is you need housing where there's trains and, the urban core areas, right? So
do you think, though, I want to get back to do you think we'll win some seats over that that are currently Democrat held? Is there any hope in some of that?
I think so. There's a big seat in Folsom that used to be another part of Kevin Kiley's seat. Josh Hoover is running against Ken Cooley.
Yeah. Josh, I heard, is doing really good.
Josh is a great guy. That is actually kind of a, neutral seat, purple seat, as you could say. With the right, he's one of them that I maxed out to, because I think not only is he a great guy, but we have an opportunity to pick up that seat.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. And I think that's the things that's got to happen. But I keep telling people when I'm going around that I get to spread hope, because a lot of people are down, like, oh no, California. And I'm constantly like, guys, there's good things happening. And you see it really in the school boards first. It's easier to see in the school boards because you see parents like waking up and getting, just a rising, and you've seen it where literally in San Francisco, a whole school board gets ousted. Like, yes. We're getting people caring. So you can see it there first, and you kind of see it in city council races, and then we're seeing it a little bit in the assembly, but there is hope.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, excited.
People are definitely waking up to what's going on here. And I think that's a bipartisan, when you look at crime, right? I mean, you kind of see the pendulum, maybe coming back a little bit, right? Because people are tired of getting their businesses and their, things broken into, right? And it's not only that, but the violent crime and, all that stuff.
Literally in Roseville yesterday, the police department came out and said they had a group of guys. They went into 2 different shops out by the Galleria, stole merchandise, and they just get to go in and take it and go.
Yeah.
And they were able to catch these guys and crack down and deal with it, which kudos, Roseville Police Department. But people are fed up with it.
Oh, well, I think it was San Diego or some other county headed up north, but the police arrested 2 guys and seized like 150,000 fentanyl pills.
Oh yeah.
Which has resulted in the murder of people in our county here in Placer County. And they seized these 150,000 pills. The judge lets them out, that show up on their own, lets them out on bail. And guess what? They didn't show up. That is a problem. Those 150,000 pills, I commend law enforcement for getting those pills out of our community, because those would have resulted in death. But the way the state is set up right now, to let them walk, who knows where they're at now? They're never coming back. Yeah,
well, and they're not going to do good things. They're not like, okay, now I'm going to stop dealing drugs.
Exactly.
They're going to keep going. And this fentanyl is a huge issue. I just the other day, I was reading an article. It said in Placer County, we had just the other day 4 deaths over fentanyl overdose and fentanyl deaths. So it's a big issue.
It is one of the top issues I want to work on when I get elected, is fentanyl.
It's interesting because it's one of the issues that I am passionate about, the One Pill Kill campaign, which we have a group in Placer County, right from Rocklin, that were really spearheading this movement. And you'll see on 9/11, they're doing the big event at Quarry Park in Rocklin. Yeah. And I'll be there with the One Pill Kill table I've sponsored to help people get an awareness, because a lot of people don't understand. These aren't, I don't know why, but I'll hijack this for a moment to talk about it.
Yes, please.
This is not just like, I think the misnomers, we think just drug users. Oh, these drug users. These are kids. And when I'm talking to parents, these are kids who are on like a football team who just want to bulk up, and someone's like, oh, hey, this is really good. This will help you put muscle on. This will help you at the gym. This will help you at your school's recess or PE or whatever they're doing. And they're taking this, not realizing it's laced with fentanyl. And all it takes is 2 grains of fentanyl the size of salt, and it will kill a person.
Yep.
It's big.
No, and I mean, that's the thing. Look, a lot of people made bad decisions in their lives growing up, our generation.
Sure.
Maybe people that we knew or whatever were doing some kind of drugs that wouldn't kill you though.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem. And you also find how people are using social media to basically, get in contact with people.
Well, and that's the thing. You're not doing back alleys anymore. These kids are doing it on TikTok and on Instagram. They've got full stores, and it looks legit.
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing.
I would say I have 4 kids, 9, 7, 4, and 1. And look, we're actually, unfortunately, starting to have these conversations with our 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Don't ever take a pill unless it's from your mom, dad, or doctor. And, this isn't a partisan issue, by the way, guys. Like, let's solve it. Let's figure it out. And you know what? Part of the solution might result in more people being in prison that is selling this crap. But you know what? Put them in prison.
Yep.
You got to have some penalty for people that are killing our kids, that are making mistakes that a lot of kids made growing up with no consequence, right?
Well, you're opening a can of worms, and I could talk about things with you that I haven't with others just because you know where I'm at. But part of the reason I get people ask all the time, Matt, you're a businessman, you're successful, you're a pastor, you've got a family. Why are you dabbling in the world of politics? First off, not dabbling. If we want to see change, we got to be the change. But the other thing though is it literally was having an employee of mine, her life taken because a guy gets arrested. He gets arrested, and with his record and with what he had and what he had done, should have never been let go. Gets arrested, gets let go that day, gets a gun and kills an employee of ours. We got to make a change. And I can't wait. I can't keep waiting for someone else to be the change. We got to get there. And it sounds like, we've got bad people are doing bad things and we're letting them out and they're doing bad things.
Yeah, and people might say, on a city council or a school board, you can't really, address the criminal law or something. No, but we need advocates at those levels that are going to address that. We need our local electeds to talk about issues impacting their community. I mean, we have school board members. They're doing great things, talking about issues that don't necessarily have anything to do directly with schools, but they impact kids and families. Yep. Fentanyl might not be an issue that's taught about at schools, for example, but that doesn't mean it's not impacting their kids and they're getting involved. And I think that's a great thing, Well, and one of the things that I'm going to be advocating for is this One Pill Kill program and what they're doing, being able to bring them into high schools and educate kids that this isn't drug dealers. It's what you're talking with your 9-year-old about that others aren't talking with their kids about. You have 19-year-olds that need this conversation. To know that pill that the guy at the gym gave you that you think is going to put on the muscle mass, that also could be the last pill you ever take. And educating, I think it's huge. I would say everybody listening to this who's a parent with kids, look at One Pill Can Kill, Placer, Google it, and you can see the crazy way that kids are obtaining these pills. I mean, I consider myself pretty tech savvy, and I had no idea how this was being done. It's crazy. And, parents need to be aware that this is going on. I mean, it really is scary. I don't want to scare people, but they got to be aware.
Well, I think some of it is we want to know, oh no, why is this happening? But we don't want to address the issue.
Exactly.
And it's whether or not it's with letting criminals out, not addressing the issue with fentanyl, homelessness. I'll tell you, you've probably heard me. I've talked so much about this homeless issue, but we have a homeless issue. And somebody asked me, they said, well, what are you going to do about the homeless issue? What's your great plan? And I said, well, I've learned one thing in life, that to deal with a problem, first you have to admit there's a problem. Yeah. And I'm tired of talking with people who keep going, oh, we don't have a problem. Just go. The parking lot that my kids' preschool is in had homeless people with tents. In tents in the parking lot of a preschool. The guy was out there wiping down with like a wet wipe, and you could see the kids' playground from where he was at. It was unbelievable.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, you and me too, hey, what's your solution to this? Look, I don't necessarily know right now. It's my job to get educated on it.
Yeah.
Learn about what the core issue is. When I was mayor of Rocklin, I was actually invited to the White House to participate in this seminar with mental health experts, with drug experts throughout the country.
You said you were at the White House. It was mental health.
Yeah.
My comedy only goes so far.
Wow.
Hey.
But yeah, this was in 202019.
It's politicians, man. I'm just saying.
when I was mayor, and it was really interesting. I mean, we had Ben Carson and Trump, and I know, that's such a, lightning rod, or no, actually they were trying to address this issue and talk about what the core issues are. And it was very informative for me, but that was part of my education, to go there, learn about this perspective. And when I get elected, I'm gonna do the same thing. I don't know if I knew the secret sauce to solving homelessness right now, then, well, first of all, I'd probably be rich, right? But the other thing is, nobody really knows, but we got to work together and find solutions to that. And we do need local officials at all levels to be focused on this issue as well.
Well, and coming up, getting involved, getting educated, which is huge, but admitting that we have a problem. And in California, we have a big problem with homelessness. And I think when you're getting in there into the assembly, you'll have more opportunity, not just to know, but also to work with us locally on what are great solutions that we can start implementing to help deal with that problem.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, they're working on it. And I think it's interesting because everything's controversial. Every move is controversial. We have a humanitarian crisis, right? I mean, the humanitarian crisis hasn't reached peak levels like it has other areas. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people that are homeless, they either need help. All they need is help, right? Let's get them help. But then there are obviously people who are on drugs or crime or whatever. And if you're on drugs, they still need help, right? If you want to get them off the street. But we can't address the root problem, which is the drug addiction, because they don't want to. And, we live in a free society. So what are the solutions to that? So it's crazy. And then you have the people, and I think this is a small number, who I don't want to say want to be homeless. I don't think anybody really wants to be homeless. No, but they don't like being boxed in.
They like the free living lifestyle.
But I think if we can help somebody, we should. And whether that's with a solution, people that want to help themselves. Look, you look at unemployment. Right? We just wasted, $30 billion or up to $60 billion in the state on unemployment. But you know what? If somebody who worked at a restaurant that was closed down and needed that help, you want to help give them a leg up, you know? Yeah. But at some point you got to say, all right, we got to get back to work, right? And I think,
and that's the thing. We don't want to just sustain. Exactly. I don't want taxpayers sustaining homeless shelters that are just maintaining.
Yes.
We want to see change.
Yes.
Positive change.
And that's controversial in and of itself.
I've never been called controversial in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
But so what is something that you're looking forward to, though? A bright spot that you're like going to California, you're like, man, I'm pumped about this.
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I mean, there are so many issues to address. I think people are sort of getting tired of a lot of the issues. And so it doesn't, that's a kind of a weird way to say, there's a bright spot. I will say we live in a great area. I mean, this really is a bright spot of the area. And we don't really want to mess this up. I always look at my role as a state legislator, if I'm elected, is going to be to what I like to say, bring home the bacon, improve our quality of life here, work with the elected officials and address the issues that we have here. And I'm really excited about that,
Yeah, we do have a bright spot. I mean, Placer County is amazing, filled with opportunity, which is why people are moving here.
No.
And they want to be here. And I just want to dispel this misnomer that's out there a little bit. I've had people go, oh, no, we have so many people from the Bay moving here. They're going to ruin it. Stop that. Can you just stop saying that? Because I'm meeting these people from the Bay. They're awesome. We have great people moving here, and they're moving here because they value what this community has. Yeah. And they want to advocate and fight to keep it like that.
Yeah. And as an elected official, it's the job of people, of the electeds, to reach out to people moving here.
Yeah.
Right? And giving them sort of the history of, what's going on here. But they're moving here for a reason, because it's a great area.
It's great.
And you want to work with them to keep it the same. But I agree with you. I mean, I would say almost everybody look, Rocklin, Lincoln, I mean, these were all small towns, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Most people moved here from the Bay Area, and it's like, hey, I got my piece, now nobody else. No, we gotta work with them too, and and get them to, if they have different perspective, talk to them about why this perspective is a good way to go.
Yeah, well, and I think having a glass of wine always helps that out.
It doesn't hurt, so
it's easier. I can handle different perspectives over.
But like you said before we started recording here, is that you go out, you talk to people, right? Maybe their first impression of you from whatever they've heard isn't positive, right? Or same with me. Same when I knock on people's door. If I knock on a partisan Democrat's door, they might have a negative feeling of me. But when you sit there and you're talking with them, you're meeting them face to face, and they realize, hey, look, this is a normal person. That goes a long way, No,
so. I do. I get people that are like, wait, this is you in the flesh? Like, no. I'm like, yep, it's just me here talking to you, like at a door talking to you.
Yeah.
I love it. I've mentioned it. Knocking on the doors and talking to people has probably been the best part about being in a campaign. And I know you don't believe this. I'm actually an introvert. Like, it's me dealing with all of my Matt stuff to just get out there and knock on a door. And it's been the best thing ever because people, they want their voice to be heard. And man, if I get it from almost every door I get to talk to somebody, they don't feel like their voice is being heard. They don't feel like they're being heard. And then you go to a city council meeting and there's 4 of us sitting in the room and it's like, hey guys, you could have shown up, but you know what they want? They want city council members, they want assembly members who are going to go out of their way to meet them and hear them.
I mean, I called back everybody who called me. I had my personal cell phone out there. People can call me. I've
written it on the wall of a lot of bathrooms.
Yeah, exactly. I've had so many people in this campaign process because now, everybody knows because I got an Republican next to my name, right? I've had so many Democrats message me who disagree with me on stuff. I mean, say, hey, look, I voted for you because they trust me because they know that I'm going to be accessible and that I'm making the best decision that I think is best for our community. I'm not asking... Look, my wife doesn't agree with me all the time. My kids agree with me less than 10% of the time. My mom, which I've said a lot of times, she's a registered Democrat. I mean, she doesn't agree with me on a lot of stuff, but she will hear me out.
Yeah.
And I mean, she better vote for me if she live here, but
if she wants you coming over for Christmas, you better be getting that vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So what has been one of the biggest challenges that you faced in this campaign?
Just honestly, just the noise. I mean, we live in a really hyper partisan world, and, I think it's been hard, just like I said, I think I said this in sort of the pre-interviews when I won the primary in June, all of a sudden, it's, a group of people just start, sort of attacking me. They don't even know me. Or maybe they disagreed with something I said here or there, and it's just, it's just so nasty out there. It's like, hey, why don't you come, have a cup of coffee, let's talk about the issues. But a lot of people aren't necessarily interested in that,
They actually don't want to know the answer. They just want to yell at you. And it's the attacks and the personal, man, they get personal. And that, it is tough. The attacks are hard.
Look, I understand people are very passionate about how they feel, I'm passionate about how I feel too. But if I disagree with somebody, and I made mistakes early in my council career when I was on the city council and going at people who disagree with me and things like that. But, I think I matured from that. And now I just, look, I'm going to disagree with people vehemently, but I am not going to discredit you personally when I disagree with you.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I've been already learning is that, when you're on the outside, it's easy to throw things. But then when you realize you have to work with those people and it's like, well, this wasn't productive whatsoever. Yeah. And I've had to already pivot and go, you know what? Maybe some of my tactics, those weren't beneficial, helpful for anybody. I mean, in the moment, it could sure feel like, hey, but we're trying to go somewhere. We're trying to build something. Building requires building some bridges too. And that's a process. So,
when I resigned from the city council in June, I didn't have any prepared notes, but I said, look, I matured on the city council.
Wow.
Because, I ran against a lot of what ended up being my colleagues when I ran in 2016, but then you figure out you have to work with these people. Yeah. And I think the reality is, for me to do anything, to get anything done, any piece of legislation, you have to have 41 votes in the legislature, and there are only 19 Democrats in the assembly, right? So, I'm going to have to work with the other side, do something. Look, I'm still going to fight like heck, on the, business shutdowns, school shutdowns, all that stuff, nonstop. But do I really need to go at, this legislator? I'm going to try to talk it out with them, see if we can do something. They're probably going to disagree with me, and then I'm going to just go crazy at the system in general, So, because things like closing schools, by the way, that was one man, right?
Yeah.
That was one man that made that decision. And, that's not how a democracy works at all.
Well, and the fact that we're still in a state of emergency,
still
in a state of emergency. Now we're in a double emergency. I think we're in like a triple emergency.
I know.
We have a fire emergency. We have a COVID emergency. Now we have the monkeypox emergency.
Change the verbiage of it. Like, an executive order to help streamline, vaccinations or whatever they wanted to do with that. Because I think that was the thing with monkeypox, is they wanted to allow EMS people to give the shots, right? But do you have to call it a state of emergency? Because that comes with a certain, connotation in your mind. But we are 2.5 years into COVID, and we're still in a state of emergency.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. But we have I can say this. We have a governor who is power hungry, control hungry. And you know what's funny is he's going around to other states telling him we are the freest state in the nation. By the way, this is the guy who wanted to get me arrested as a restaurateur for opening so that my employees could continue to pay their rent and put food on the table. And
including you being able to do those things,
sure.
Right?
Including me.
Gosh, it's okay to... Everybody's a little selfish wanting to take care of their family, right?
Right.
But look, this governor, if somebody went to his Twitter right now, Gavin Newsom, you would see... If you look at 20 tweets, probably 10 of them are about Indiana, Texas, Florida. I don't want a governor who focuses on other states. We have a ton of issues right here in California.
Right.
You know?
No, he's not worried about it. Right now he's campaigning. And you know what I say? Go. Get out of the way. Let's make room. Let's get someone else in here. And I think it's going to be funny. He's going to run for president, and it's going to be a disaster. They think they've seen a disaster run, man. It's going to be funny. Sorry.
There's one person I really, really, really disagree with. It's Gavin Newsom.
Oh.
Look, he kept my kids out of school for a long time.
And you got 4.
I have 4. I had to, take them. But I'm not qualified to teach my kids. I do feel bad for, obviously while I've disagreed with, the teacher union, it's on the state level,
sure.
And even to some extent on the local level, but the teachers themselves have had the hardest, most difficult year ever.
Agreed.
On so many levels. And, but when we brought our kids back into the classroom, they really did a phenomenal job sort of getting them back up to speed.
And you've probably done this before. I just was able to go to the new teachers' luncheon in Rocklin, bringing in over 80 new teachers into Rocklin. And what was great is I had a teacher come up to me. She had my son when he was in 5th grade. That was her last year. She moved out of the area. She moved into the Bay. And, she was at this new teacher's lunch and she goes, Mr. Oliver, oh my goodness. She goes, I loved working in Rocklin so much that 5 years later, I've done everything we can to move back into Rocklin and be a teacher back at that school. Best experience, best environment, loved it. And I was like, man, what a good, I like it. You can go out and taste it, but you come back and you go, this was great. We have something wonderful here.
Oh, absolutely.
It's worth coming back to.
We are lucky we live in this area, 100%.
And that's why we're fighting for it.
Exactly.
It's worth fighting for.
Exactly. I agree.
So we've talked a little bit about positive things, some of the negative things, the campaign, and what you're wanting to accomplish. What are things that you're looking for in the state, though? Like something you'd want to accomplish in the state that I think not just campaign-wise, but you're like, man, I really think this would be like, you want to finish the high-speed rail? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
By the way, is it ever going to get finished? Is it where are we at now? Like $5 billion for a train?
Oh, at least. The budget's like $100 billion or something.
My
it just keeps going up. I think $5 billion's one
Car.
1 mile or something.
I'm laughing. I'm crying on the inside,
Yeah, exactly.
but I'm laughing.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we don't address any of the core issues here. You look at water, you look at our electric grid, you look at roads and streets and housing, homelessness, our education system. By the way, kids in California are 50th in literacy. It's like we're not addressing any of the core issues. So those are the kinds of things I want to do. Also, fire danger. We are, just like water, where we haven't built a new dam in a long time, we haven't properly staffed our fire departments, not necessarily on the state, but, the state level for the big fires that happen, and you will see this on the city level. All the cities send their people, and that sort of impacts every city, all that. We all chip in, but we have to start addressing
to the place where if we just have enough fires, then nothing can burn anymore. We'll just be all burned out for the...
Oh my gosh.
It's been nuts.
It's been crazy. Actually, CAL FIRE has this great graph, it's a pie chart, and it shows, fires from, 2000 to 2019 or something, or 2015, it's this little tiny spot. And then 19 and 20, it's like half of the spot. And then 20 and 21, it's the other half. I mean, it's the fires have blown up so much, and we haven't given enough resources to protect those homes,
Well, we don't have the water to put it. I mean, it's just, we haven't come up with, we've done
crazy.
No new water conservation. We're having plenty of conversations, but to actually address it. And then it's the same thing. We're getting rid of fuel cars. Everyone has to have an electric car, but our electric grid can't handle anymore. We're California.
But it's not only cars. Now the state is moving to all electric homes.
Oh my.
So you'll start seeing this that, all homes are moving to electric too. Could you imagine?
Well, I was talking with a guy. I got pulled into a house and was talking to him, and he has a gardening business. And he goes, they're moving to all electric lawnmowers, leaf blowers, everything for the state.
New state law. It's
Where
crazy.
is this coming from?
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, electricity is not... Hey, I do think we have to figure out a way to invest in the grid because we just don't have adequate electric supplies. Do you know hydropower, which is the cleanest power out there, does not count towards the state's renewable energy portfolio? So if you have a huge dam generating a ton of electricity, it doesn't go towards counting What's more renewable than water just going through the turbines over there?
Yeah.
And it's
just
crazy.
Natural. Just perfect.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
So, I mean, we got a lot of issues to work on, and I'm excited to address it. One other thing that I really think needs to be addressed is, right now we have, because of changes to pensions and things like that for police and fire, it used to be a lot, you could retire at 50. Now, and the pension system is very stressed, so they move it to 57. Oh, wow. But, anybody who knows a cop or firefighter, which is basically everybody, that's kind of a long time to work. So we have to address some of the other things that go along with that, mental health issues. I mean, if you're a firefighter, chances are you've seen kids drown in swimming pools, unfortunately. Yeah. And sort of the cumulative trauma of stuff like that. I mean, we gotta figure a lot of those things out. But see, there are so many nonpartisan issues that I want to work on. We have a lot of partisan issues that will just be what they are. Yeah. And we'll continue to fight those. But there's so many nonpartisan issues that everybody should get on board. But it'll be interesting to see if Democrats get on board with those issues or not, just because I'm a Republican. That's what'll be interesting.
Well, we'll be watching. We'll be keeping an eye on it. How can people find out more about your campaign, support, donate, find out events?
Yeah, joepatterson.com. JoePatterson.com.
So it was almost song-like. So you've said it a few times.
I have, exactly. So.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate filling us in. You guys find out more, get educated, take a moment, subscribe, share this. If you've taken this time, come on. What's another 10, 20 minutes of your day? Scroll through, watch a couple other videos. We'd really appreciate it. You should also go to House of Oliver, get a glass of wine, find out more, support local, which is one of it's my biggest things. But we're out of time to talk about that right now. But go support local, whatever it is. If it's local, locally owned, that is awesome. But House of Oliver, Oliver's Brewhouse and Grill. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you guys know how it goes. Until we drink together again, cheers.